From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Friday, August the 26th, the year 2016. And now, here he is, Mr. Fred Belcastro.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
and the whole world smiles with you. And when you're laughing,
when you're laughing,
oh, you're laughing.
oh, you're laughing,
When the sun comes shining through.
shining through.
When you're crying,
When you're crying,
you bring on the rain.
bring on the
Stop
rain.
your sighing.
Stop your sighing,
Won't you be happy again?
happy again.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
keep on smiling.
keep on smiling.
And the whole world smiles.
Welcome to Wealth and Wisdom program. My name is Fred Belcastro, your host, and during the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk about using our wisdom to grow and protect our wealth. And as, of course, usual, we're broadcasting from the John DeVita Broadcast Center here on the northwest side of Chicago, and you're listening to us on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS in Norwich, Illinois. And asked what we're going to talk about this morning, I said to some of the fellows that had called in, I said, I'm going to talk about annuities. I'm going to mention one of the questions that I had in the previous month was that one of the most common misbeliefs, I believe, about the annuities is that when you die, the bad guys, the evil annuity company, they keep the money. Well, that describes a life-only structure, but this is only one of about 15 ways in which to set up a life annuity payout. You can have a lifetime income guarantee with any remaining money in your annuity account going to your beneficiaries upon your death. So what I'm trying to say is that you can structure the policy so that the annuity company doesn't keep a penny. It all goes to you and your beneficiaries. And in fact, in giving descriptions of annuities, let's not, because there's so many varieties and so flexible as how they would plug into your program, understand that they should be just used as a transfer of risk solution. You've got a portfolio of stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, all the mutual funds, some CDs, perhaps additional money in your home. You have access to another income stream from Social Security, and maybe you purchased an annuity 40 years ago and you have $40 or $70 a month coming in now. What you should do is you just look at transferring the risk to an insurance company rather than keeping it the risk yourself. The older you are, the more transfer of risk assets you've got to do for coverages or issues like lifetime income or long-term care. I always advise people to see just how much risk they have in their total portfolios that they're currently shouldering, and how much risk they've given away. How much can they transfer? A lot of people are alarmed by how little risk they've transferred, how much risk they're really taking. And that brings me, if I can come back to this a few minutes from now, and just talk about the rate of return. How much risk are you carrying? What's your rate of return? What do you have to get? Do you have to take additional risk in order to fund your retirement? What rate of return do you have to earn on the money you're currently saving? And how much more do you need to save for retirement? Do you have enough? Have you worked it out? And having enough money for retirement, if we've lived in the neighborhoods here in the Norwich area or Zone 56 of Chicago, when we moved into these homes, what was the taxes? $2,000? How long have we been in these homes? Is it $6,000 now? Over the next 20 years, if we're paying $6,000 now, do you think it might go up? Do you think it might someday be $10,000 or $12,000? Well, when we we talk about how close we are or how short we are as far as an accumulation of retirement dollars. Do we take into consideration the average rate of inflation? And so we can say, well, my personal rate of inflation is something less than the national averages, but is it really? Is it going to be? Can we anticipate and see what medical expenses are coming up in the future? These are unknown. The only thing that we are pretty sure about is that it'll cost more tomorrow than it does today. And if we want to maintain today's standard of living tomorrow, we've got to be able to anticipate. Now, in anticipating, I'm talking about mathematically. I'll mention that in a few more minutes. But there's more to be taken into consideration than just taking a pool of money and then dividing it by 20 or 25 or whatever number of years that we can anticipate would be our life expectancy. And if we don't want to accept that figure, are we willing to work? Are we in a position to work? Do we have an occupation in which we can work? Do we want to? Will we have to? It might make a difference in our thinking. All that being said, what I'm trying to do in using wisdom is to keep us from decreasing our standard of living. I really can't. Listen, I've been doing this for a long time, and yes, I have seen people retire and are forced to reduce their standard of living, reduced to living with children. Well, you might think it's a good thing. I haven't seen it turn out too positive in some of my acquaintances. When we do things like that, it takes some planning, but and I think planning along the lines of what I've come to do, what I've come to understand, and okay, I think it's unique. I think the work that I do is unique because I've quit years ago giving people unverifiable promises of better investments, higher returns. If you're on this end of a phone or a microphone, some people think that you have all the answers, and so just trust me if I tell you this is going to average you 8%, 10%, 12%. Trust me. That's not too good, because if it doesn't turn out, and in most cases it doesn't, you're left holding the short stick. But what I do, what I want to do, and what I want to help you do is create a plan that guarantees what, and I say this over, what do you want to happen? Let's get a plan that guarantees what you want to happen, that will happen for you. It'll happen for you and the people you love, providing the results when compared to your present plan, when compared to your current plan, they'll give you more money over your lifetime. Isn't that something you want? Isn't that using wisdom? How about better asset protection, leaving ourselves less vulnerable to the outside influences? How about liquidity use and control? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. If you don't have control of your money, I've said it over and over again, then might as well give it a Bernie. How about taking on additional risk? You say, well, what rate of return do we need? Well, if we need satisfactorily, we will need a 4%, 3%, 3.5%. Nah, let's take 10%. And I've through the years used the illustration of driving from here to Milwaukee. An average speed 55 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, somewhere in that range. Just following the speed limit. When it says 70, back it off to 60, 65. A couple of hours you'll get there. And let's suppose we were going to drive up there today, and we had to be up there at 6 o'clock for a dinner appointment. My God, would we drive at 110, 120 miles an hour? Would we take on more risk just because we can, or just because we think it's cool or it's prudent at the time? It would be foolish to do that. And yet we do that with our portfolios. Maybe we don't need to take that additional risk. Why do it? Why put our dollars in an investment that would be a little shaky or put us on shaky ground when it comes to guaranteed our future, and not only the future of ourselves, but the future of our spouses and our family. Again, I talk about a couple of things. Number one, you've got to have verifiable results, and you've got to be able to prove those results mathematically, and that's what I enjoy doing, because that's the second thing that I think makes my practice unique, is my philosophy concerning the trust. I think you earn the trust over time, so I really never ask anyone to simply take my word for anything. You can get 10, 12, 15%. This is a portfolio. Morningstar said that the average. Nah, come on. I never ask you to just take a word or have anything that's unverifiable. If we can't prove it mathematically and verify it, that's the right thing to do. My friend, my pal, don't do it, because it's a big game. Look, we've accumulated the money, but knowing how to spend that dollars is just as important. And the important thing is in what order. If we have 4 or 5 or 7 different retirement accounts or pools of money, buckets of money, in which we've grown our wealth, and we've grown our wealth as large as possible. Now we have to start transitioning our thoughts, changing our way of thinking from growth to what? Gotta save it, man. You gotta preserve it. We go from growth to preservation. In other words, how can I keep my bucket of money as large as possible once I begin spending the assets down the road? Huh? How's that gonna happen? Because understanding that what we've done in the past, the rules that apply in accumulating our dollars, totally different in the time of distribution when we start using these dollars. And this is where the wealth transfers occur. And I think they're more prevalent in the distribution phase. You see, here, look at this. Look at your 401k. Have you looked at what the total of your 401 or your IRAs or any of the traditional IRAs or your qualified plans? Have you looked at the value of those plans? Do you feel pretty good about that's not my money? No, it's not your money. You know what I mean? You could have a $5 million retirement plan, and the government's going to take maybe $1.5 million away. You're going to have $350. You see? Now, how are you going to pay those taxes? How are you going to withdraw? How are you going to make those distributions? You can go with the minimum retirement distributions that are necessary, but is that what you need? Will that fill the bill? Should you take some money out of a CD, the IRA, the Roth IRA, the savings account? Should you see, where does the money come from, and in what order? Oh, listen, there's nobody ever going to stop a retiree from going to the bank and making his withdrawal and putting a pocket of money, walking out of there with his pockets full of money. But what's the most effective way of liquidating those assets so that they last as long as time? Do you know if you should take the IRA first? Do you know if you should take the 401k? Do you know if you should take more than the required minimum deposits? You see, what's going to be applicable to transferring away the least amount of your dollars? You got to have a way of doing it. You've got to have a tool. You've got to have a method. You've got to have a reason for taking the distribution. It's got to require the same planning in spending your assets as it did in gathering them. You see, you've got to have a plan that allow you to explore different alternatives, which would help you get more money than just spend money during retirement and avoid the necessary wealth transfers. What I'm talking about, wealth transfers, maybe the interest, or you don't pay any interest on an automobile because you pay it with cash. Well, then you're losing interest, aren't you, my friend? You know, would you rather lose interest or pay interest? Is it the same? Is it deductible? It's not, you see. So what's the most efficient and prudent way of taking those distributions? But I don't know. I'd like to hear a few words by Mr. J.P. That's Giles Perry, right now, in taking a short break, and see what Mr. Richardson Jr. has to say.
Hello, baby. Yeah, this is the Big Bopper speaking. Oh, you sweet thing. Do I want? Will I want? Oh, baby, you know what I like. Chantilly lace and a pretty face and a ponytail hanging down, a wiggle in the walk and a giggle in the talk. Make the world go round. There ain't nothing in the world like a big-eyed girl to make me act so funny, make me spend my money, make me feel real loose like a long-necked goose, like a girl. Oh, baby, that's what I like. What's that, baby? But, oh, honey. But, oh, baby, you know what I like. Chantilly lace and a pretty face and a ponytail, a hanging down, a wiggle in the walk and a giggle in the talk. Lord, make the world go round, round, round. There ain't nothing in the world like a big-eyed girl to make me act so funny, make me spend my money, make me feel real loose like a long-necked goose, like a girl. Oh, baby, that's what I like. What's that, honey? Pick you up at 8, and don't be late. But, baby, I ain't got no money, honey. Oh, all right, honey, you know what I like. Chantilly lace and a pretty face, ponytail a hanging down, a wiggle in the walk and a giggle in the talk. Lord, make the world go round. There ain't nothing in the world like a big-eyed girl to make me act so funny, make me spend my money, make me feel real loose like a long-necked goose and like a girl. Oh, baby, that's what I like.
It's J.P. Richardson Jr., but hey, we know him best as the Big Bopper with Chantilly Lace, coming to us from 1958. There's an individual, a songwriter, disc jockey, who's that rockabilly look, his style, his voice, made him an early rock star. Well, we can talk about Chantilly Lace and the Big Bopper a little bit more later on. But what I'm talking about, and then I want to get to description of some annuities, is the ability to really look at the results of different spending habits, different spending methods that'll help us in protecting our assets. We can, as I say, withdraw any amount of money that we want from any of our accounts, but is it the most prudent way of doing it? The focus should be now not only the maintenance of our dollars, but the growth of our money. So maximize the spending opportunities that we have and liquidate or get rid of the least beneficial assets first. Which one is that? Take a look at your portfolio. You've got to be able to graphically and numerically illustrate what's going on in your portfolio, the spreadsheets. You've got to look at the power of each account and understand what the future estate eroding transfers can aid in finding the best way to spend these assets. We're going to spend those money, but after a lifetime of focusing and looking at the accumulation, I think knowing the best way to spend the assets is difficult. We need a method. We have to have a way of looking at not only avoiding the losses, but having the smartest way, the most intelligent way of liquidating the portfolios and withdrawing our dollars, because this pool of money, that's all there's going to be. There's not much 20 or 30 years of additional work for those of us who are 55 or 60, 65 years old to continue. All right. What I wanted to talk about was the annuities and the transfer of risk primarily. We've assumed risk all of our lives in our accumulation stages, but even now, as we approach retirement, the transferring of risk is even more important. Annuities, as I've always said, and I have an acronym that's been given to me some years ago, and it was easy to remember because it was the PILL, the P-I and L-L. And first of all, you want to protect your principal. That's what annuities solve for. They protect your principal. There's no decrease in value. You do not take losses with these as far as the principal is concerned. Income. They'll provide income for life. What more do you want when you're retired? You want the income. You want to be able to spend. We talked about saving and warehousing dollars, accumulating dollars during the last 40 years of our working. Now we want the income to take care of us. How about a legacy? Are we going to leave anything to our spouses? Anything to our children? Anything to our charitable causes? And how about long-term care, confinement care? We're going to have to provide for that or not? I don't know. But PILL spells it out. Principal protection, income for life, leaving that legacy, and of course long-term care. But first, look at principal protection. I know what the interest rates are today. It's in a world of interest rates that are low. It's a tough few years for the savers, withdrawers, and depositors. I say withdrawers because they're individuals that looked at setting aside a given amount of dollars in one pool of money and then living off the interest. Well, how are you going to live off 0.25% interest today when inflation's taking you on a ride for 3 or 4, or if we look at the medical costs of 5, 7, and 12%? You can only get real principal protection in about 5 places. Throughout all of our life, number one has been the CDs, the FDIC and FSLIC. It used to be FSLIC, the savings and loans. I don't know if you remember those in the 50s before some politicians got their hands on it. And nevertheless, the FDIC protecting our CDs. We have money markets that are FDIC limited as well. Municipal bonds, they used to be fairly safe, and until the insurance companies that insured a lot of those AAA municipal bonds gave up the insurance. So if we have municipal bonds today that are insured, they're relatively safe. The treasuries, we can count on those, and of course fixed annuities, providing the fixed annuities are with good carriers. You know, being in the business, I could always run across a phone company from a company that's saying, today, Fred, we're giving the guaranteed 7%. We're giving an 8%. And I could say, well, let me think it over, and I go to call them back the next day, and they're out of business. So you could always find something that's got a little bit better, but when you look at the annuity, you've got to look at the carriers because they're backed by the full faith and credit of the insurance company, and then too, each state has a guarantee fund that backs up the policies up to a certain amount in each of the states. So there's 50 of them. Each one covers their own state guaranteed funds. They're not to be compared with the FDIC. That it's not a federal, but they should still be considered when buying an annuity. Because the annuity guarantee, it's only as good as the company behind it. Is that true? You know, we're going to look at these ads on TV, and only for $14.95, and they'll throw in two of those products. No, maybe they'll throw in 3 of those products. They'll throw in 5 of those products, and your satisfaction is guaranteed. But it's guaranteed by who? You know, I don't know who's going to guarantee it. So the guarantees are only as good as the companies that make them. But let's not cry over guarantees. let's see what this group has to tell us now.
You saw me crying in the chapel. The tears I shed were tears of joy. I know the meaning of contentment. I am happy with the Lord. Just a plain and simple chapel where all good people go to pray. I prayed the Lord that I'll grow strong again as I live from day to day. I searched and I searched, but I couldn't find no way on earth to find peace of mind. Now I'm happy in the chapel where people are of one accord. Yes, we gather in the chapel just to sing and praise the Lord. You'll search and you'll search, but you'll never find no way on earth to find peace of mind. Take your troubles to the chapel. Get down on your knees and pray. Then your burdens will be lighter, and you'll surely find a way.
You recognize that as Crying in the Chapel. What you may not have recognized was the group that performed. It was called the Oreos from 1953. All right, just wrapping it up. If you're lucky enough or fortunate enough to be receiving a pension payment from an employer, you already have an annuity income stream type of payment. So you're familiar with what I'm referring to. If you have Social Security checks coming in, that is an income, an annuity income stream type of payment as well. So you're familiar with those steady streams of income from Social Security or perhaps a pension. But you might need more guaranteed income, or you might be afraid of outliving your money and what we call a longevity risk. This is where the income annuities can possibly complete and complement your portfolio. They're initially developed for income in most cases. I did a ton of annuities, putting them in place years ago when I was with some of the insurance companies in this very area. And some of you are probably receiving some of the income streams that I provided or led you to 20, 30, and even 50 years ago. But let's pick it up next week with the two primary ways in which we can use annuities for income planning: income now, income later, or a target date type of income. We'll stop there, and I promise next week to fully describe further annuities, what can be done with them, and we won't get into the some of the strategies, But let's cover the basics first, and then we can get into some of the individual strategies. If you have something you'd like to hear, give me a call. It's area 630-673-4360, or email. It's fbellsecure, FBELSECURE at AOL.com. We're in a bit of mist now today. In the next few days, they tell us that it's going to be raining, and so let's drive carefully, take care of things that have to be done. If you have someone who requires assistance next door, down the street, across the street, why don't we be a good neighbor and lend a hand? And in the meantime, thanks for listening. Look forward to talking to you again next week. And hey, listen, let's make somebody smile.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
and the whole world smiles with you. And when you're laughing,
when you're laughing,
oh, you're laughing.
oh, you're laughing,
When the sun comes shining through.
shining through.
When you're crying,
When you're crying,
you bring on the rain.
bring on the
Stop
rain.
your sighing.
Stop your sighing,
Won't you be happy again?
happy again.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
keep on smiling.
keep on smiling.
And the world will smile with you. Let's go now. Let's go, Sam.
You have been listening to Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Friday, August the 26th, the year 2016. This broadcast was directed by John DeVita. Our special thanks to radio station manager Kevin Zeflik of WRHS FM Norwich and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Chiconda. Until next time, please be safe, and thanks for listening. Today's broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, August the 24th, the year 2016. Have a nice day, everyone. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois. Have a safe and wonderful weekend, friends. See you next week.